Welcome to Founders Future, the podcast hosted by Closers.io, where we dive deep into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for both themselves and their businesses. I'm your host, Elliott Boll, and in each episode, we'll uncover the stories behind successful businesses, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're excited to be joined by Jason Bennett, the founder and CEO of Brilliantly. We'll be learning more about his founding story and getting a glimpse into his plans for the future. So let's get it, Jason. Welcome to Founders Future.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot, Elliot. It's great to be here.
I'm excited. We had a brief chat offline, but I'm going to go directly to the bit I'm fascinated about because Brilliantly, it looks like a business for around 3 years now. Can you take us back to the inspiration or the flame, the story behind starting your own business and give the audience a flavor of how you help your customers?
So I came off of helping two companies grow and exit, and then was kind of tooling around myself. Was asked to be a lead mentor by a couple different startup groups, and I went with a group called Founders Network, where I mentor startups, right? And so working with in a group format as well as individual format, working with hundreds of founders, I just realized, and kind of looking at my own past and look at who I'm mentoring, there's so many technical founders out there and guys with great products and that are never going to go anywhere because they're building a product, not a business. And it occurred to me that I built Brilliantly off of the notion or the idea that growth is so much more than marketing. And that's it. That's how I started Brilliantly. I thought, well, I've been in that position where I think of the world very process oriented. And if we just do it like this, and if we, you know, there's all these things that need to go into it. But if I do this one thing and if I build this great product, well, you kind of got to build a business around a product. You got to sell it. You got to market it, all that good stuff. And so I was in those shoes too. But fortunately, I persevered and realized, and then just turned my whole world around. And then seeing so many other founders under that same kind of mindset, I'm like, okay, it's my purpose. Transformation is my purpose, and you have to transform as a person, as a leader, and a business, because you're not building a product, you're building a business. So that's why I started Brilliantly.
That's incredible. And you must have a unique perspective having spoken to so many different founders. And what I want to pull out is help us understand with those technical founders. For a lot of people listening, it will make a lot of intuitive sense that we need to build a business, that we need to find customers, we need to get our message in front of we need to solve problems for people. But where's the disconnect for the technical founders? Like what's typically going on in their mind?
Well, I mean, I think everybody knows this, but when you're in the heat of it, you don't see it. And I've done the same thing. I'm in the heat of it and I'm making mistakes that I learned not to make years ago, but I'm still making those mistakes because I'm in the heat of it. I'm starting something up and this and that. And it's um nobody gives a crap about your product. They give a crap about what's in it for them. And I see this over and over. I don't care if you're at idea stage or you're 5 million ARR, 10 million ARR, kind of rebooting your company. Quit talking about yourself. Quit talking about your product. Tell me what's in it for me and really get to know your customers. I think I trailed off there from the original question, but from what I see all the time, it's if I get you on a call and I'm mentoring you or you're a prospect, and I ask you, tell me a little bit about your company, and you spend 15 minutes talking about your product and yourself, or 2 minutes talking about it right away, I'm like, okay, I see the first problem, right? It's not about you. There you go.
That's fascinating. Yeah, I can imagine, especially in a chaotic startup environment, how it's easy to get lost in the weeds. Now, for what I'm curious about is one of the key pillars to the business is, I think you described it as founders freedom. Is that right?
Yeah.
And that excited me because you talked about what it takes to lead a business and some of the transformations you take founders through. From your perspective and experience as a leader, as well as someone who helps develop leaders, are you noticing that there's a trait that really separates like the creme de la creme or your customers that transform the most versus those that kind of sit in the middle of the bell curve? They become better, but they don't quite make it the whole way.
Absolutely, and that's a willingness to learn. And the reason I say that is, um, the founders I work with are more seasoned. I'm not working with 20-year-olds. Um, I'm working with guys that have 10, 20, 15 years of industry experience and this and that. But it comes down to mindset. The guys, I always call it like, you have to be willing to think and do different. This is like nothing else you've ever done before. Even if you've been a CEO before, you're now in a new organization. Regardless, think and do different. And if you don't have the capacity to do that, you're in trouble, right? Because what got you here won't get you there, and you can say that at every stage of startup, right?
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing, is the willingness and ability to let go.
That is fascinating because it's like it's almost like an intangible. There's like the willingness, the desire, there's the commitment piece. But it sounds like the way you described it, there's almost humility or an
Yeah.
openness that kind of have to be coupled together. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's that humility. Drop the ego. This is your baby. This is what you wanted, right? The the title CEO, most people don't really realize what that means when they're coming into it, but it's a big responsibility, especially as you grow and scale, and it can be very daunting. If you're not ready for that and you're not ready to take those things on, especially in the early days, it's going to be trouble. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, brilliantly. Moving on. I'm curious, looking forward for you, Jason, what are you most excited about? What are you prioritizing this year in terms of growing your own business, scaling your impact?
I'm prioritizing, I'd say three things. The customer experience. I want my customers to feel it, live it, and just everything. They're getting what they need, whether they use it or not. This is a whole other conversation, but they're getting what they need to be successful, and that's unique to them, right? And number two is, how do we scale our own business, and how do we hire the right, and hiring the right people? So to scale that business, right? My job as a leader is not to do everything. It's to know my limitations and hire around that, but only after I know how it works. I know what I need. I need to hold myself accountable, them accountable. I can't do that until I learn it. So those three things are what I'm ultimately focused on this year. We're going to hit some big revenue milestones this year. I'm really excited, and we're just scaling up and all that comes with it.
Awesome. You said that all that comes with it. So our audience are probably saying, Elliot, like ask him the opposite and say, like, looking at the year ahead, what is the biggest challenge that you're anticipating? And let us into the mind of Jason, how you're thinking about navigating it.
I think the biggest challenge is, well, with growth and scale, there's such overused buzzwords, right? I don't think people know that growth does not equal scale, right? Marketing does not equal growth. It's like, this is a process. Like, growth is one thing, scale is another thing, right? So we're at that point of, we're at an inflection of growth and scale. And I just need to make sure that while we're giving the best service and really genuinely from our heart helping people advance in their own life, transform how they're doing things, I need to keep my eye on the ball in terms of going from growth to scale. And it's making the most efficient use of people, technology, processes, and systems. So that's what's always on the back of my mind. How do we maintain that as we're growing and growing?
This is all voluntary, isn't it? That sounds like a nightmare, Jason. Right. Thanks for sharing your thoughts in such a structured way. As it usually does, the conversation's absolutely flown by. So thanks for sharing your candid thoughts.
Absolutely.
Before we wrap up, we always ask one question. So you've got thousands of founders that are listening to this episode right now, and you can only share one piece of advice that will stop them. They'll go get a pen, they'll write it down, they'll act on it, and it could change their life. What's the one piece of advice, Jason?
Stop planning, strategizing, debating, talking about it, execute. Go do it, learn as you go, and keep going. Just stop finding shit to do and get out there and execute. Let the market drive where you're going next, because that's why we're all here.
Awesome. Jason, thank you so much. That wraps up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. I want to thank Jason one more time for coming on and sharing not only his story, but the insights that he shared throughout the conversation today. To our listeners, if you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen. You can find more resources and insights at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their sales. Until then, keep climbing and we'll see you on the next one.